Part 3 of What to Do, Part 1 and 2 down in the comments down below. I guess reality is finally hitting me. H and I have been separated for almost a month. He was staying with his sister until he finally got his apartment this weekend. We have 2 young kids, 4 and 6 years old. They are having a really tough time with the separation and miss their dad tons. My heart breaks for them, and I am trying my best to make the best of a stressful situation for them. There is no R in the future. I think once their dad has them over next weekend, and they know where he will be living, they'll feel more secure with the situation. I guess I didn't realize this would be so hard on them. There has been a lot of tension in our home for the past year, and thought that things would be easier for everyone, but it's just as stressful. I need some help in terms of keeping my cool with the kids. They are pushing every button possible to get a reaction out of me. I know it's because it's hard for them dealing with their dad away, but I'm trying to keep the routine and discipline the same. Sometimes it works, other times it fails miserably, kind of like my marriage. I'm open with them in terms of discussing their feelings, sadness, and I'm reassuring them that their dad and I will always love them no matter what. They have a lot of contact with him. He'll come to visit, and they talk to him every night to say good night. We're going over today to see his place. Our daughter was begging him to let her see it. I'm reading a book about divorce and it talks about kids needing to know where the other parent lives. I didn't even realize how important it is. I know they have to go through this, but it sucks. The kids need to spend time alone with him. So far, they have quite a bit. I worked a couple of shifts so he came over to spend time with them. It worked well for us. Yesterday he took them swimming and then dinner. They are really happy he's spending quality time with them, which wasn't always possible before the separation. We were very focused on our relationship. I really don't want to interrupt their time together or offer my 2 cents, which I sometimes do. H wants us to spend time together as friends. He's asked to be friends. At first, I just needed to be away from him. I'm okay with the friends, but for the kids' sake, so they do not feel any hostility between us. So far, it's working out fairly well. I don't think I'll stay when I take the kids over to his place today after school. He might be offended, but I agree that they need to bond together without me around. Next weekend, and every weekend he would like to have them Friday evening until Sunday morning. I guess it gives us both a bit of time on weekends to spend time with the kids. We're not going to court to arrange custody. We're trying to agree on everything so that the kids adjust well to their new situation. We may have to see a mediator eventually, but there's no rush. I dropped off the kids at H's place today for a visit. They were so happy to finally see the place, smiling ear to ear. I guess it's what they really needed to feel more secure about the situation. When he brought them back, it was so different. They were calmer, more relaxed, just seemed happier. My little guy didn't even cry this time when he said goodbye to his dad. I have to admit, H is doing a great job informing them of everything, telling them he loves them and misses them. I'm really impressed how he's dealing with everything, and so calmly. His anger has magically disappeared. Of course it helps not to see my face every day. He asked me, "Why are you being so nice to me now?" I didn't really have an answer. It's easier being nice to someone when you don't see them every day. And the fact that he's not so angry with me. I think I'm being pleasant. I just want to let go of all the tension, anger, and resentment we have towards each other. Sometimes I start to miss him when I see him in this mood, but then I realize that I'm starting to feel lonely. Hate that feeling. We had a bit of an argument today. He took my car to get the muffler fixed at his garage. He always goes there. He is on vacation this week, so he offered to take it. He came home pissed and on a rant about getting a ticket. I started to feel my blood boil, then realized that it was pointless. I said, "Why are you yelling at me?" Him, "Because I end up getting crap on when I do something nice to someone. You went through a stop sign." Him, "I wouldn't have been there if it weren't for getting your car fixed." Okay, whatever. Him, "I'm not mad at you, just fed up with losing money." Okay, but you're still yelling at me. Chill out. Him, "I don't want to fight with you." And this is what our little petty arguments look like. Lol. This time I tried not to engage much, and off he went to his counseling appointment. At least he communicated more about that it wasn't my fault. Dinner with a friend tomorrow night. I find it interesting how apologetic people are when they are no longer in a relationship. H called this morning and apologized for being so rude and yelling at me about my vehicle yesterday. I was happy that he said it, but disappointed that he could never ever say he was sorry during our relationship. Why now? Maybe he's just happy with his lady friend. Whatever. Trying not to analyze too much these days. I had to decline a job after all. It was way too complicated to arrange my kids' schedule for the job. It started at 8:15 a.m., and it was a 45 minutes commute in heavy traffic. It would have meant I would have to leave the house at 7 a.m., and my son's daycare isn't even open at the time. Then there were 2 evening requirements, which meant ex-husband would have had to pick up kids, make dinner, and put them to bed, all at my place. Yeah, not happening. So, the job search continues. The interviewer made the most inappropriate comment. Female. She was wondering how old I was, since she was looking for an older candidate. So she's fishing for it. I mentioned I have 3 kids. The jaw dropped, and she asked how old I was. I told her my lovely age of 44, and she says, "You're the first white woman I've met that doesn't look her age. What the duck?" And she kept going on about it. I get that a lot. My son, 21, and I hang out sometimes. People think he's my brother. It just seemed so random in an interview, a somewhat professional atmosphere. What do I know anyhow? Well, I haven't had an interview in a couple of years. I understand why people hate Facebook now. I'm not big on it. I'll check up on relatives across the country. But that's about it. Someone was nice enough to inform me of my H's new status. In a relationship. Yep, funny how people move on so fast. In like a month. Kind of having a tough week. Actually a tough year lol. But I have to take each day as it comes or effing try to. The problem I usually have is that I have a tendency to think about things too much. I worry about my kids until I make myself sick. Sometimes I just can't help it. I worry that I've screwed them up for life for what I've done to my family, to my husband. The past 5 weeks I've done a lot of thinking about my past behavior. When I had my affair back then, although H and I are for a year, it was a tough year for him. I didn't pull my weight the way I should have, and he was angry with me quite a bit. Before we separated, I felt guilty, ashamed, remorseful. Not nearly enough for R, on an intellectual level. But in the last little while, I feel it in my heart. It probably doesn't make sense, but it's just a different feeling. I feel like it's weighing me down sometimes. I'll have to deal with this in IC, of course. H and I discussed what we want from mediation. We actually had lunch and discussed things in a fairly normal way. We haven't done anything normal in the way we communicate in so long. It felt strange. He really wants to see the kids every weekend. I'm okay with it. But on paper he wants 50-50. He says it's to make him feel like he's participating or can have access when he wants. We came to an agreement that he will not provide any child support, but will pay for their yearly activities. Ballet, swimming lessons, day camp. It comes to about $12,000 a year. I don't want much from him. Never did. I do feel like he deserves something better now. I told him that when I find a job, we can even split some of the fees. I really want to make it up to him even though I do not want to R. I guess the biggest sting for me, and even though I do not want the relationship, it's that he has already moved on with another woman. Wow, I don't ask questions, but during lunch the other day he felt this need to tell me everything. Okay, yeah, he's very open, always has been, but seriously, it wasn't necessary. I kept saying as long as you're happy, but inside I was boiling a bit. I just didn't want to hear anymore. I don't need to know that she sleeps over at his place, or that he might get married again one day. And more children may not be out of the question. Yeah, I guess I deserve to feel some pain after what I did to him. Maybe I should hear what it's like, what he felt in order to really understand some of the pain he experienced. Then he would start to cry, and remind me of what I've done to him. That he will never trust women again. That hurt, made me sick to know I did this to him. I said sorry again, but at this point it means nothing. I told him he deserves to be loved the way he wants, to have someone devoted. He said he loves her, but not in love with her. And that he also loves me still. I think he feels guilty about moving on so quickly, and wants to know from me that it's okay, or to get my approval. I can't give him approval, not right now. He said he would feel better knowing if I was dating. I told him when the time is right I will, not ready right now. He said he wanted to know when I have bonded the first time. Really? Then he'll know I've moved on. I don't know what to make of that comment or question. Weird, and I wouldn't tell him anyway. I don't want to move on and date other people yet. I'm not ready for it. How can he be? So, he's known her for a year or so through work. Yeah, it's comfortable for them. I only asked that the kids not be around her or them for about 6 months. We only have one issue, my son's daycare teacher. Whoa, he hates her. They had an argument a couple of months ago, and then another one today. He phoned me in a rage and told me to speak to her. Basically, she's rude to him. I don't think she likes him much. It puts me in a bad position though. And the fact that he was ranting in front of the kids in the car while on the phone with me. I kept saying to wait till the kids are in bed, then call me, otherwise son will feel the tension and not want to go. Or whatever. Usually, he's really good at not discussing issues in front of the kids, but he really dislikes this woman. It's too bad because our son loves her. Sometimes I'm okay with myself, mostly when I'm around family and friends, laughing, enjoying myself. Then when I'm alone, I just get overwhelmed with things racing through my head. I guess I should start cleaning like a crazy person lol. I'm not in the same place I was back then. I was going through a lot of things in my life that were making me unhappy. Including my marriage. I chose to escape, and made a destructive choice. I think H expects me to just jump into another relationship. He really doesn't understand how I can't since I was able to do it before and be so cruel and mean about it. I've had a lot of time to reflect on the crap I've done. I've got to learn to like who I am, not what I was before. I just don't know how to handle some situations involving separation. It's frustrating and confusing. Leaving me throwing my hands up in the air saying, "What the duck? My on-call job called me today for a double shift. I was really happy. I had worked Friday evening, and I really need the money. It would have meant I would have taken home $250, paid a couple of bills. Relieved some stress. Seems like it didn't last too long. H and I have arranged that he does not provide child support. Long story short, he'll start paying for activities in a few months. So, I'm looking for a job. Obviously, he told me that anytime I needed him to watch the kids while I took a shift, he would do it. He knows I need the money. So, I called him this. I'm asking if he would be okay with it for this afternoon. I told work I would call them back, and said, no. I have things to do today to get ready for work tomorrow after being on vacation for 2 weeks. Sorry. I said okay and hung up, called work and said I couldn't do it. He then calls back in 15 minutes. And says, if you really want me to do it, I'll do it. I feel bad about saying no. I responded that in the past he would feel guilty about saying no. And would say yes, but would resent it later. And that it was something he agreed he needed to change. He said, yeah, I guess so. What was I supposed to say? Yeah, damn straight. Come over and watch the kids because I need to feed them and pay the bills. But I'm trying to be a better person to him since I've been a crappy wife the last year and a half. My friends think I'm being too soft. They know the situation, every last detail, and although they think it was totally unacceptable what I did to him, they question some of the things I have agreed to. So now, I have no idea what to do. I don't want to set him off either. On a good note, I'm taking the kids to a movie today. My sister is joining us. I haven't seen much of her in the last year because of the stress of R and the fact that H didn't want her around since she took my side before we are last year. It's all good. The house I live in belongs to my mother. She lives below me in a duplex. He expected that we would inherit the house one day, and he had big hopes of what would happen. We live close to the city, so the value is quite high. He said that he would help out when he was settled with his apt meeting around May. He wouldn't agree on any amount, so I then asked if he would pay for the kids' activities. He sorts of agreed on that as long as it wasn't too expensive. I responded that just what they are doing now, nothing more, nothing less. I agree that he should contribute somehow, mostly making it easier for me to work the occasional shift. It's not like it happens often. It usually falls on a Friday or Saturday when he has them. My mom has been good about helping me out financially, but I hate asking her. He has known his girlfriend for about a year. He's always had an attraction for her and mentioned it to me. I wasn't surprised that he would start a relationship with her. And I'm happy for him, to an extent, but don't rub it in my face. Yes, it was easy for him to tell me that he no longer loved me when he knew she was interested in him, and that there was no baggage with her. He also knew that I was no longer going to listen to his verbal abuse. I told a couple of friends about his openness about her. They were floored. They can't understand why he wants me to know everything that is going on with her. I never asked. It's his business, not mine. No solutions at the moment. Keeping with the job search, hoping for something in the next couple of weeks, and much will be solved. Overall, I'm feeling better. At the beginning of the separation I had trouble breathing. The tightness in my chest scared me. It seems to have gone away. I asked a good female friend of mine to come out next weekend and get good and drunk with me. Well, I haven't gone out and had drinks for a very long time, so I guess I'm due for it. I think I'm being tested from someone above. I'm not religious either. My daughter wanted a blanket that she left at H's house, so he brought it over this morning. I'm not sure what's going on with him. He wanted to talk to me in the kitchen in private. I was like, okay, what's up? He became all sentimental on me, saying he misses me. And then the physical stuff he misses. I said nothing, not sure what to say. I did say, don't try to rush your relationship with girlfriend. You're still healing from 25 years. He agreed, and said he's happy with her. She makes him feel good, more affectionate, but said it's hard to get used to. I was able to hear it this time. Last week really sucked to hear about her. I only said that it was because we knew each other so well, and how to please each other. I knew what was coming next. I was prepared to an extent. Then he wanted to hug me, which was okay, but he wanted me to kiss him. I turned away, and gently pushed him away. I knew this was coming for a while, and glad that it did in a way so we could address it. It would have been so easy to just go with it, have a few moments of pleasure, have someone hold me again. But, and a big but, I said to him, I can't do this to your girlfriend. It's not fair. I made a promise to myself that I would never ever do this type of thing to myself or another person. I felt like I had control, that I'm not this serial cheater who has no willpower, who goes out of their way to destroy people's lives, you know. I'm not that person. Not who I was a year and a half ago, and now I really feel I'm not. It's like it was a test. H thanked me for not allowing it to happen, and said, yeah, it's not fair to her, and then he left. It was tough. I do miss the bonding. In the last year we had the best bonding we had ever had, but the rest of the relationship sucked. It seems like it's one or the other. I think he's still confused over his decision to end the marriage, but he seems to be enjoying the attention from someone else. She's pretty much devoted to him the way he always wanted me to be. Makes dinner just the way he wants, overdoes everything. The problem is that he still wants it from me, or at least wishes I had been that way. But he also liked the fact that I was sometimes aloof, did my own thing. He's just not used to all the attention she's giving him. I told him, just give it time, you'll learn to love it. I want him over me, I want him to let go, move on, find the love he so much craves. Meanwhile, I'm wondering if I should attempt to go on a date, see what it's like, just casual stuff. I think it might do me some good. I'm still focused on my kids. My son is being a real handful these days. A bit aggressive, which has never been the case. He seems to have had a delayed reaction to the separation. My daughter seems much better. I have spent all week with her. March break, and she's been great. Of course, she has her meltdowns, but nothing like when we first separated. Every night I usually get my younger son to bed first while my daughter waits for me in her room. I'm trying my best to divide my attention at night between the two of them. They both need me so much. So last night I'm lying on my daughter's bed with her, just chatting. We use this time to talk about her feelings, problems at school, or whatever. It's sometimes hard to get her to open up. She's a bit like me, avoids. We were talking about eyelashes and how if you find one you make a wish and blow it. I asked her what she would wish for. She responded, I would wish my mommy and daddy would come together again, then said, I wish that daddy would live with us again. I know it's all normal stuff coming from a 6-year-old, but whoa, what do I say? I didn't say much, just smiled and listened. Last night my older son asked his dad during their dinner, Dad, do you have a girlfriend? H told me, his dad told him he was seeing someone, but didn't want to introduce her to him yet. I'm not sure how my son knew this. I doubt he overheard me speaking to a friend about it. Life goes on. X called today to ask how the kids were doing. They were sick at his place this past weekend, and really cranky. At one point they wanted to come home. I guess they missed the familiar stuff everyone does when they're not well. The conversation changed to our relationship. He told me he's not ready to get serious but likes to be with someone. Okay, then he says some mushy stuff like, sometimes when she kisses me, I'm thinking about you. I changed the subject and asked how his brunch went on Sunday with her family. Then he casually slipped something along the lines of getting back together in 6 months or a year. But if we do, no, not happening. I said nothing. I can't do that to my kids for a third time only for us to go back to what it was. I mean, it's been hard, very hard on the kids. They miss their dad a lot. My daughter tonight took a picture of him out of an album. Yes, we have them lol. And we put it by her window. Not before she kissed it, and put it in my face for me to kiss it as well. Whoa, it was so intense, very emotional. He made a pass at me the other week. He actually said, I want to be a cake eater. I don't think he realizes that it's cheating because it's me, but wow. It's so cheating. I agree, he's got some issues. He doesn't want to be alone, but wants the benefits of 2 women, one for the emotional, her, and me for the fun time. It's never going to happen. I actually feel sorry for her. He told me he made her cry the other week after comparing her to me. Who does that to someone who they care about? It's what he used to do to me, get me close, to push me away. It's a game. She's very vulnerable. I feel bad for her, but my friends keep saying, not your problem. I've been in a bad mood for a couple of days, just fed up really, and frustrated. I'm hating myself more than anything right now. I hate that I'm in this position, being broke, bored at home. No other job offers. I'm still sending emails out. Looks like I'll apply to the job I had several years ago. The one that drove me to crap, but can't be any worse than what I'm dealing with now. The kicker, and I know I have to let it go, really, I am trying. I guess I just have too much time on my hands. Is that STBXH gets to reap the benefits of living the good life. His girlfriend pays for everything. Just makes me boil sometimes. By the way, he has no money to give me anyway. I borrowed $100 from him a couple of weeks ago, and he needs it back. So, I get a lawyer, piss him off, for what, $200 per month maybe? I know I need a hobby. I enjoyed working out, but just don't have the funds right now. Obviously, I used to crochet as well, but I can't get into it now. It was more a thing when I was pregnant with kids. I'd like to join one of those clubs where they meet up at restaurants, or an outdoors club. I'm thankful I got called to work this evening. The kids come back tomorrow since I will be working. STBXH agreed this time. How thoughtful of him. I don't think I'm ready to date after all. I went out a couple of times with this person. It just didn't feel right, and I can't really figure out why. Except that obviously I'm still healing. And emotionally I haven't moved on yet. The person clearly wants more from me, which I'm not ready for anytime soon. I tried to keep the dates from STBXH, but he knows me all too well. He's acting angry, saying he cares and is worried, doesn't want anything to happen to me. When I told him it was my business, he then yelled at me and said that as long as kids are involved, it is his business. I responded that the kids know nothing and will never meet him, that it's nothing serious. So, I got sick from the convo, and angry that he can still get to me. He doesn't even seem happy lately. He seemed okay with the girlfriend, but clearly, he's still very angry. I need help with setting boundaries with him. I don't contact him. He always does with some excuse, then I engage in his crap. I know my STBXH hasn't detached from me to a certain extent. I'm not sure if he really loves me still or is it about still having some control over me. He said some things that were meant to hurt me, and I always take it without a fight. I just don't want to rock the boat. I'm so glad I write a lot on this forum about my feelings, things that happen, because I'm sure I'd still think I was crazy. During his rant at me, he actually brought up the fact that he's not mad because I decided to go on a date. That he doesn't want me back, or want to sleep with me. And he tells me this why. Then goes on to say that the other week he never made a pass at me. What the duck? That he just wanted to hug me. Yeah, okay, whatever. This is his way of justifying his behavior and spinning things around again. Again, I kept my mouth shut. The one thing I can say is that I do not have any residual feelings for him. Looking at him just reminds me what a mess he is. The way he snaps all the time. It's like I'm on the outside looking in now. Everything is so much clearer. Does it help with the healing and the ability to move on? Nope. I'm afraid to trust again, and I think that's pretty normal. I'm worried I'll seek out someone who is unhealthy for me. At least I'm aware of where I'm at and can see some red flags. Couple days later, I had a bad morning yesterday. Of course X and I had words. I just feel like, duck off. And leave me alone. It's really hard when you have this pattern of communicating for 25 years. And to all of a sudden change it. Ugh, I broke down after he asked for his $100 back. I told him I didn't have it right now. Duh. He then went off on a bunch of stuff relating to custody. Said, if you want a war, you'll have one. Then of course brought up my affair and said he couldn't trust me since I am now a known liar. And then said he doesn't have much trust in anything anymore. That pretty much did it for me. I feel like no matter what I do or say to make peace he just throws this stuff in my face. I still remember what I did to him. I'll never forget. But do I still need to be punished? I know I screwed up, but I'm not the same person I was for those few months. And he knows that. He also has some guilt about his relationship with his girlfriend and moving on so quickly and giving up on our marriage and family. I predicted that crap once I told him I didn't agree with certain things. So, he felt bad after he did his usual put-downs and brought me over a tin of juice and a TV dinner. I know you like these TV dinners. I don't care for them really. He used to like eating them together once in a while when the kids were sleeping. I decided to take the children to counseling, and myself as well. I found a place with a sliding scale. I know the pain I have caused him. I truly do. I've seen that he has aged very much in the last year. And I feel for him in that respect. I'm not expecting him to just get over it. In the past I sometimes expected him to recover a little more quickly. But after all the reading I've done now, I understand it's a process. I guess what I did expect was that after a year or so, he would at least start to show some signs of feeling more secure and start the healing process, especially with all the therapy he has been through addressing just the affair and triggers. I kind of expected his anger to subside slightly when he left me to pursue another relationship and realized that our marriage was dead to him, but he still shows a lot of anger, trust issues, resentment. I thought having another woman who he had no serious issues with would make him at least a bit happier, you know. She's 8 years younger than me. He hit the jackpot. I've come to the conclusion and believe that he did have many problems before my affair. And I spend a lot of time trying to help him overcome his insecurities in his life. Nothing seemed to work. I wonder if some people just chose to continue to be the victim and actually do not want to get better. I can't stand people who want to remain in the victim role or blame others for their problems. I'm not too worried about filing for divorce, etc. He's pushing it along just fine. He wavers a bit, but mostly he knows that we're over and he does wish to move on. It's just that he's afraid of me moving on and being happier. Normal, I guess. A month later. Looks like I'll have to take my son out of daycare at the end of the month and keep him home with me until he starts kindergarten in the fall. In theory, it's okay. But how the hell am I supposed to get a job now? Ugh, it's like it never ends. I was in tears this morning when the daycare owner basically said that she gave me 2 months leeway and cannot any longer. I understand her position. I pay $400. It's expensive. So, I have 2 weeks to find a job. Nothing like more stress to add to my life. I think I've been paid back for the crap I've caused in my relationship. But maybe I need more hardship thrown my way just to add some icing to the cake. Fun times. He has no money to give me. He was a genius and rented an expensive apartment. I guess I could get a couple of hundred out of him, but what a fight it would be. I spoke to him today. He called, as usual, asking how our little guy was. He was crying this morning and didn't want to go to daycare. Something that's happened since the jerk had an argument with the daycare lady. I calmed him down while the idiot stood on like a Nimrod. Yeah, I'm in a harsh mood today. So, he asks how I'm doing. Not very well, then told him the news. He didn't care, and said, oh well, you save $400 a month now. I then said, yeah, how the hell do I find a job then? No response except, I just called to see how son is doing, in other words. I don't care. So now when I get called in to do a replacement shift, what happens? I doubt he'll leave work early to watch him for the day. I also do some work at lunchtime at my daughter's school. Guess that's out the window now too. He's like, you're still $100 ahead. He doesn't get it, because I make $300 at the school. So, I guess I will be setting up some damn strong boundaries from now on, and he will not get anything out of me except in regard to the kids. No chit-chats any longer, and if he continues to bug me, I'll get a R order. Back to sending emails. I applied for an out-of-province job, actually only an hour from my place. The money is about $50,000. I was postponing that because of the distance. But not much of a choice. And I guess I could afford to hire someone to pick up kids from school and daycare depending on when I would get home. X applied for the job years ago, didn't get it. He actually applied for my old job twice and was refused. Was he furious? I'm not going to mediation right now. He wants me to agree to things I'm not ready to. Not leaving the province with the kids. Doubt I would anyway. Agreeing to no support, just activities. Agreeing to 50-50 custody. No freaking way. I laughed so hard. How the hell would he manage that? His way of avoiding paying support. My sister and her boyfriend advised me not to sign anything. They seriously questioned why I would consider allowing him even 60-40. They've heard him yell at the kids, I was not home, and they cringed. I read up on the laws in my province. It looks favorable for me to get full custody. The longer that they are with me alone, the more they won't disturb the situation. Hence, I'm waiting it out. As for dating, I don't care really. Tried it. Guy was dumb. I don't care if he had 2 nice cars and mountains of money. It didn't impress me much. I've lost faith in the male species. My comment. Part 4 will come out soon. This is quite a story. So, keep the sub and bell and next part will come soon.